Hello, I'm Lillio, and I'm presenting work done with Ashton at the University of Toronto. Our research analyzes the association between problematic use of online platforms and actual and self-reported time spent online. Over the past decade, and especially over the last several months in 2020, one might have spent a substantial amount of time on online media and devices. Indeed, there's a growing amount of concern about this so-called screen time. A central question is, what is the relationship between quantity of time spent online and quality of a user's life outcomes? The majority of existing work tackling this question is survey-based. They use self-reports to assess both time spent online and associated problematic effects, such as sleep deprivation. Recently, researchers have started to replace self-reported time with trace data. There are two observations about this newer work. Firstly, time measures derived from data are assumed to be better. Data is more accurate, is not subject to recall issues, and is scalable. Secondly, large-scale work is usually restricted to data provided from for-profit platforms. This limits access to affiliated scholars and makes the research less transparent. But is self-reported time really just a noisy proxy of data when predicting problematic outcomes? To tackle this question, we would need to compare the associations between actual and self-reported time measures and problematic effects at the same time. Furthermore, how can we conduct data-driven research into screen time more transparently? To address this concern, we want to show that we can perform this research on an open platform with accessible data. We focus our work, therefore, on Lichess, an open online chess platform that has made all of its data publicly available. We first extract several time measures of varying granularity from this data. We then build a survey with two counterbalanced phases. The quiz phase asks participants to guess the time they spend online. The scale phase assesses problematic effects of using Lichess, which we modify from recent work on Facebook. Lichess players were recruited from Reddit to then complete the survey, whose answers were linked with their data traces. For brevity, I won't go into the details of the survey, but please pause the video if you want to spend a bit more time on these questions. So on aggregate, participants scored a mean of 21.7 out of 30 points on the scale questions, which were coded so that higher points reflect positive sentiments. 59 participants also scored under 3 out of 5 on at least one question, indicating that Lichess had a noticeable, non-neutral, and potentially negative impact on some aspect of their lives. We also analyzed open-ended responses and found some clearly negative outcomes, such as this one. So it would seem that using Lichess could potentially lead to problematic effects. But is there a relationship between how long you played, how long you think you played, and your scale score? We did a first-order comparison of how the numerical time measures were associated with problematic outcomes. We found one data-derived measure and one self-reported measure, respectively, that were very strongly predictive of the scale score. So, to investigate our results further, we use specification curve analysis, or SCA. It performs a combinatorial search through all reasonable regressions and presents all effect sizes simultaneously. This enhances the transparency and robustness of our results. We show two SCAs here with data-derived total time on the left and self-reported max time on the right as independent variables. These were the strongest predictors in the previous analysis. 13 other covariates could either be included or excluded in any regression, giving us over 8,000 regressions in each SCA. We find the median effect size of self-reported max time to be negative 0.275 on the right, which is always significant and clearly larger than the effect of actual playing time on the left, which is negative 0.169. Finally, we also ran an altered SCA that measures R-squared of regressions predicting scale score from actual total time, self-reported max time, and their interaction. This yields a median R-square of 0.232, doubling the R-squared in the two previous SCAs that were separately analyzing self-reports and trace data. This indicates that self-reports and data carry distinct, complementary information about problematic effects of using online platforms. If they didn't, we wouldn't expect a doubling of R-squared in the combined model. So what do these results mean? Firstly, we show that self-reported and actual measures of time contain complementary information about problematic use. They can be combined to more effectively predict negative outcomes arising from using online platforms. Secondly, a lesson we learned during this process is that by studying accessible platforms with transparent analytical frameworks, we can conduct research into online well-being in a more open and accessible way. Thanks.